What's up, dudes? It's the Vigorous Q&A, and this time PED questions are allowed. So let's get right into it. Let's see, a little bit of update. Last week we did the best dose of Masteron, the best dose of Superdrol and Methylene, and the best dose of Turinabol. And those were well received. And next week we'll have the best dose of TB500 and the best dose of Trestolone, better known as MENT. I still have to prepare for the Trenbolone best dose video, but there's so many studies to go through, and I'm really doing my absolute best to find scientific evidence performed on human subjects. But so far, I come up empty-handed. I found one citation in the Handbook of Experimental Pharmacology linking to a French study performed on Trenbolone, but the full publication is not able to be found anywhere. So if you do happen to have a human study on Trenbolone, let me know. Send it over by email. If it's in French, German, Italian, it doesn't really matter. I can get it translated. But as of now, after reviewing maybe 900 studies on Trenbolone, in vitro, in vivo, animal studies, and that's about it. So please help a brother out and find me some human studies. With Trestolone, there was a good amount of human studies, at least. So that's basically on the to-do list for next week. So let's get right into all of the questions, because there were many. Last week we had a lot of questions that I didn't want to answer because last week was the vanilla Q&A and no PD questions were allowed. Let's get this one out of the way from Mr. B. Can introduction of exogenous insulin play a productive role in MMA Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? If so, can you suggest a high-level protocol? No, not over the internet. Insulin protocols need to be personalized because they need to match whatever nutrition you're doing right now. So the ebooks are on discount, 25%. I have an ebook about insulin. It's now, what, $75 instead of $99. So give that one a read and then ask questions a little bit more specifically. High-level protocols about insulin are always personalized. They're not meant to be given away over a Q&A. Yeah, I'm sure you understand this, because there's a lot of nuances that go into this. So buy the fucking ebook. Good luck. Next one is, these were questions from last week, but my timestamps guy didn't write down who wrote the question. So whoever asked this question, here's your answer. Thoughts on 400 milligrams testosterone enanthate and 300 milligrams equipoise for 16 to 20 weeks. I'm acne prone. Can EQ cause acne? I'm also thinking about adding Turinabol at the end of my cycle. All steroids can cause acne, but if you do daily microadministrations, preferably subcutaneously, then you reduce the risk of acne if you're eating healthy as well, right? Because inflammatory foods, dairy products, processed foods, basically everything that's not good for you. I mean, dairy products are good for you, but they're basically pimple food. So, you know, you have to do your due diligence, making sure that you eat healthy and doing daily microadministrations. I think that ratio of test to equipoise is good for 20 weeks. I don't see a problem with that. Besides the fact that boldenone has been linked to kidney toxicity in animal models and human subjects. But I made a 2-hour deep dive on that. You know what? Let me link it for you, since you asked so nicely. Let me see. Boldenone. Where is it? Ah, there they are. 1 second. Let me link them for you down below. So I would always recommend everybody to watch those boldenone studies if you're going to run boldenone for 20 weeks. Funny thing is, after reviewing all of the scientific literature so far, none of these studies have been performed on other steroids. So it doesn't mean that other steroids are not kidney toxic. Let's see. So I'm not against it if you do daily microadministrations and you pay attention to your diet. And if you want to throw in a little bit of Turinabol at the end of your cycle, not that we have the Turinabol video online, at let's say 30 milligrams to 50 milligrams, go for it. Go for it, man. Sounds like a good cycle to me. Yeah. Keep track of your electrolytes because, of course, boldenone will lower your estradiol levels, and Turinabol is an aldosterone synthesis inhibitor, so you might get a little bit cramping if you don't supplement with a good amount of sodium alongside your perfectly squeaky clean diet. Let's see. Next question is 400 tests, 200 deca, 8 cg, 0.4 cc's 2 times a week. I'm assuming that's 0.41 cc, 5,000 IUs, a boatload of 8 cg every week, and a quarter anastrozole arimidex every other day. Prostate is slightly enlarged, so what supplements can I use to limit PEDs effects on the prostate? You would need to stop the PEDs and get your prostate size under control. There's no way to limit prostatic enlargement if that's occurring on cycle, right? You can take Flomax to dilate the what is it, the urine tract. What is that called? Urethra, right? The urethra that goes through the prostate, so you can urinate a little bit better, but it doesn't lower the prostate, the prostatic volume or size. So you would need to come off cycle, buddy. Yeah, it's that simple. It's that simple. If your prostate is slightly enlarged and you're having issues with that, come off cycle, go to physiological levels of testosterone, 100 milligrams per week, see if your prostate comes down in size, and then slowly build up and assess how prostate size is changing based on the dose and the compounds that you're adding. Because if it's already enlarged on 600 milligrams per week, where the fuck you're going to go? I mean, it's a moderate cycle. So if it's already happening, better make sure that it's, you attack the problem before it gets worse. All right, let's see. Do you need insulin while using 4A use pharma growth hormone? Glucose exists at 66 milligrams per deciliter after 14 hours fasting. It is PED question 4. So I don't think that insulin is needed if you run 4A use growth hormone if your blood glucose levels are in range. And you got to keep in mind, if growth hormone is causing you insulin resistance and you take exogenous insulin, then you're not addressing the root cause. Insulin resistance is loss of insulin sensitivity, and it doesn't matter how much exogenous insulin you take, it will not improve insulin sensitivity. So take your growth hormone intramuscularly before activity or before bed when you're in a state where you're either performing activity or you're in a low carbohydrate state where insulin secretion is minimized. Right? You can take berberine along at the same time you take growth hormone, or you take apple cider vinegar to help control your blood glucose levels. I mean, you can even take fucking Vandyl sulfate, which activates the insulin receptors. You don't even need to inject insulin if you want to bring your glucose levels down. So if your glucose is 66 after 14 hours of fasting, then you're totally fine. And for I use a pharma growth hormone, I don't see a reason, if you time that correctly and you pay attention to your nutrition, that you would need insulin. If you want to add insulin in for nutrient partitioning and anabolism, because you want to make some fucking gains. And keep in mind, if you read the testosterone studies performed on men with diabetes, it's insulin type 2. Type 2 diabetes, right? That's full-blown insulin resistance due to lifestyle. You add in testosterone, you bring your levels up from, minimal levels to normal levels, or maybe slightly superphysiological, and insulin sensitivity improves. So testosterone improves insulin sensitivity. If you want to run a boatload of growth hormone, take some testosterone with it, or Trenbolone, which also improves nutrient partitioning and insulin sensitivity. And of course, if you add the insulin on top of a stack like that, yes, gains aplenty. Okay, so question 4 is already here. After cruising on 180 milligrams testosterone cypionate and ATG, who knows what the fucking dose of ATG there is, do I need to increase to 400 test CYP and 200 DECA? So after cruising, how do I increase? Well, you can increase from 180 milligrams to 250 and then 375. And then maybe add in the DECA later. You can do it step by step. You don't need to triple the dose from one day to the next. I'm starting TRT tomorrow, and I'm starting 156 milligrams per week. And then later on, I might bump it up to 250, right? That's a little bit less than double. And then maybe 375 if I feel it's needed. So slow and steady, buddy. Thoughts on using CJC with DAC and MK677 combined with a GLP-1 receptor agonist for hunger suppression? Yeah, that would work. That would work. That would work for sure. Yeah, you might need some testosterone with that because MK677 and being in caloric deficit for such a long period of time, assuming you want to diet, but having elevated growth hormone levels might slowly but steadily drop your testosterone levels. So either add in testosterone or HCG if you're going with a full stack of secretagogues, right? I mean, a GLP-1 receptor agonist is an insulin secretagogue, right? Because you secrete insulin from the pancreas while using these kinds of medications. Thoughts on methylene blue pre-workout, but I'm concerned about its interaction with monoamine from diet. Tyramine, histamine do its role as a MAO or MAOI inhibitor. Do you have any experience? No, I haven't tried methylene blue yet, but it's on the to-do list. I'm not entirely sure how much it would interact with amino acids from the diet. I haven't looked into that, so I'm sure I can't help you there. Maybe ask Dr. Adam Hotchkiss, who is a avid fan of Methylene Blue, and he's got a couple of videos on his YouTube channel himself. All right, next one. Should you cycle 2 IU's growth hormone 200 test and 10 milligrams Anavar daily, or can you take them long term? I think you can take that long term, multiple years in duration, assuming that you manage your blood work parameters, eat healthy, go to the gym, and don't abuse recreational drugs, because that's extra pressure on your body, obviously. Alvaro asks, okay, so we're through the questions. These are from the other member questions. How should our electrolyte look on blood work? Normal, within range, obviously. If one of them is low or multiple are low, then you're probably having problems. But of course, what ratios and which ones are off kind of depends on what the problems are. Mudasar asks, hey, Steve, I had to abandon my year-long cycle due to extreme hair loss, which I'm fixing with a hair protocol. I want to add GHK copper, and I'm thinking of jabbing my tiny calves to get localized benefit as well as hair growth. Will this be Steve approved, and what dosages? So if you want to inject the GHK copper into the calves, yes, you can do that, but you also need a deep tissue massage therapist to kind of work through the adhesions, which will occur. I think with time you can add an inch or two if you move those injections around, 5 milligrams bilaterally, but you won't be able to walk. The post-injection pain is brutal, man. And of course, GHK copper will go systemic and might help with hair growth. But if you're coming off cycle and you're pinning GHK copper, you're not training super hard, and you're not taking other compounds that stimulate collagen synthesis, how much calf growth are you going to get? I think it's better reserved for on cycle. I still have a boatload of GHK copper in the fridge. It's been sitting there for 2 years now. And if I ever do a hefty cycle again, I'll use it on my triceps again. Luckily for me, I would, just with heavy training, I can crove my calves. Let's see. I've seen loads of people report that sun exposure worked wonders for their PED-induced acne. I'm lucky to get 60 to 90 days of sun a year where I live. You probably live in the UK or anywhere in Northern Europe. Did you read anything about infrared lamps as a substitute for this purpose? Yes, a lot of people go with the infrared lamps or go to the tanning salon multiple times a week, maybe twice a week, to get rid of their acne. I mean, is that the sweating, right? Going to the sauna also helps resolve acne. Is it the sweating? Is it the infrared? Maybe do both, right? Maybe train hard, go into the sauna twice a week, and post-workout, supplement with a little bit of salt, right? So you don't drain yourself of even more electrolytes. And then you do the tanning bed or the infrared, lamps twice a week. I think it will work. You'll get a nice complexion. Your skin will look nice. I mean, I sweat buckets every day, but I obviously don't go in the sun because I'm doing research for you assholes. So yeah, go for it. And besides all the cookie cutter things that you should do, paying attention to your diet and removing the dairy products and daily microinjections for stable hormone levels, because in fluctuating hormone levels, acne manifests. Let's see. Next one. We're going to go through this a little bit fast because otherwise we're going to be 30 minutes behind. Hey, Steve, I came off my year-long cycle about 6 weeks ago, and this week I started 500 IUs HCG every other day, 75 IUs HMG, human menopausal gonadotropin, so that's basically 75 IUs FSH and trace amounts of HCG. Should I keep my 50 milligrams DHEA and 25 milligrams Pregnenolone intake or omit it? Take it out for now and then test your blood work in about 4 weeks to see if your DHA sulfate, progesterone, or Pregnenolone, whatever you can test, plummeted. So for me, it came down on a similar protocol like this. Well, actually double the dose, right? I took, up until now, I took 1,000 IUs HCG and 75 IUs FSH every day. HCG is 3 times a week, by the way. And I said my DHEA levels were crushed, but my progesterone levels are normal. So I took DHEA 25 milligrams and 10 milligrams per Pregnenolone, after which my DHA sulfate came up to about, let's say, 1/3, middle of the reference range, but my progesterone levels came up more. So I took the Pregnenolone out. And maybe that has to do with my mitochondrial function doing so much. For mitochondrial function, of course, that's where Pregnenolone is synthesized within the mitochondria. So I'm only supplementing with 25 milligrams DHEA. So go with blood work. Do it in 4 weeks and see how much you need to supplement. Maybe you don't even need it. And then why run it if you don't need it? Alvaro asks, hey Steve, would estradiol levels tend to be the same on different dosages but same ratios? For example, Would estradiol be the same or similar on 150 tests, 100 Primo versus 600 tests and 400 Primo? Yeah, usually it's pre-linear with the inhibition using a DHT derivative that is known to inhibit aromatase enzyme activity. So let's say if you got a, what is this, a 2-to-1 ratio, of course 150, is that 200, 100? Yeah, you would have to do 200 tests, and no, that's not correct. Jesus. Is that correct? 100 divided by 600. Is that the same ratio? Oh my God, I gotta whip out my calculator, guys. It's late. Yeah, it's the same fucking ratio. All right. I had a brain fog there. Sorry, it's been a long day. So yeah, I think it's pretty linear, but of course, as you get bigger, your body fat levels might come down, and thus in adipose tissue, obviously aromatization occurred. And if you have less body fat, then aromatase enzyme potential goes down, and you might need to reduce the primobolan to sustain similar estradiol levels. And obviously, if your dosages are going up and your food intake is going up and you're getting fat as fuck, then maybe only the Primo needs to come up, right? To potentiate more anabolism and inhibit the aromatization of testosterone into estradiol. So I'm sure you already know what the answer is going to be. Blood work, baby. All right. Super chats. Eric93, on 250 milligrams testosterone enanthate per week, eat at maintenance, over 200 grams of protein, just added into I use growth hormone per day for a month and no changes on body fat with body scan. Should I have expected better results? I mean, it's not magic, dude. Growth hormone is not fucking magic. And it's a horrible fat burner unless you take 18 IUs growth hormone per day. If you want fat loss, throw the growth hormone in the trash and add in some Clen or Cardarine or Carnitine or 5-amino-1-MQ or Yohimbine or ephedrine. Those are all superior fat burners at a fraction, well, maybe not 5-amino-1-MQ, but the other ones, a fraction of the cost. So don't expect any magic. From 2 AU's growth hormone, expect to look a little bit better, wrinkles filled in, hair to grow faster, sleep quality improve slightly, and looking a little bit fuller. But fat loss, no, man. No. Dude, even if you fast and you take 2 IU's growth hormone, the difference in fat loss, minimal. Is it a lipolytic agent? Yes. Is it dramatic? Absolutely fucking not. All right, next one. Maximal187 asks, check my blood levels yesterday, test 3000. Well, Vegeta is not impressed yet. Free testosterone 106, bioavailable 2700, estradiol 64 picograms per milliliter, SHBG 14, so that's a little bit on the low side. I want to do the lazy man's TRT pitting on Thursday, so should I just wait till Thursday and then do 1 times weekly injection? Okay, so with a testosterone level 3 times out of the reference range, you're not on TRT. Just fucking admit it. You're not on TRT. You're on a cycle. You're running 300, 250 maybe, 300, 350, 375 milligrams testosterone per week. If you want to do that in a single shot, your testosterone levels will be the day after the injection probably 5,000, and then maybe 2,500 the day before the injection, or 2,200, but your estradiol will be 100. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think it's a good idea. Lazy man's TRT is for up to 200 milligrams per week. Yeah, and assuming that you're lean. So I wouldn't do it. I would go, I would stick with daily microadministrations. And if you want to go for it, pin it all on Thursday, add in 25 milligrams of aromasin also, because otherwise you're just going to aromatize more than is required for libido and well-being. I said, will my estradiol come down? Yeah, you need to take an AI, especially if you're 15% body fat. So take your aromasin and enjoy your single shot. Filippo's Jim asks, hey Steve, I watched your latest video on Anavar. If I understand it correctly, a dosage of 20 milligrams for a duration of 12 to 16 weeks should basically be a low in side effects. Yes. Yeah, I think that's all in side effects, unless you're running 2,000 milligrams of other stuff alongside of that per week, right? If you're running a gram a test, and a gram of Primo and then 20 milligrams of Anavar, I think that's not going to make a drop in the bucket because your blood work is already a little bit off, but it's not terrible. But if you're running, let's say 700 tests, 700 Tren, and 700 Masteron, that's 2,000 milligrams, give or take, and then throw in the Anavar, yes, of course, your blood work is going to look shit. So if it just tests up until a gram a week, I think it's not going to make a difference much. Of course, LDL will, HDL will come down, LDL will come up, and SHBG will drop. But that's pretty sustainable for 16 weeks if you deploy the right ancillaries. Let's see. Maximal asks, "Hey Steve, I'm in week 3 of 6 of my cycle, and the pain in my right underarm is unbearable." Week 3 of 6. Maybe you should ask Tyne Clark about short-term protocols. Pain in your right underarm is unbearable because you're doing a short cycle and you're taking all of these drugs that you should be taking over 20 weeks in 6 weeks. Basically, I'm telling you that the dose is too high. Muscles are very tense. Cramps in my wrist. Could this be a side effect of the gear? Should I stop my cycle and go back to TRT until this issue goes away? Doing weekly 350 milligrams test and 300 Primo. Okay, that's not too much. It could be that you're tight from the lifting, right? You're doing all these jerky motions. Maybe you're masturbating way too much and now you have tendonitis in the forearms. It could be a multitude of different things, man. Maybe you need a deep station massage therapy. Maybe you need to go to the sauna. Maybe you need some infrared light therapy. Maybe you need to do an ice bath. Maybe you need to switch from underground lab test and Primo to pharmaceutical grade so you don't get terrible inflammation in the entirety of your body, which is radiating to your forearms. So I gave you a lot of suggestions. I hope one of them is correct. Over-the-counter supplements to lower blood pressure. Carditone, magnesium. Yeah, I hate to bring it to you guys, but magnesium glycinate, great to lower blood pressure. Cialis is not an over-the-counter supplement, right? Am I forgetting something? Beetroot extract? Nettle root extract, maybe? I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. Or at least the ones that I know that work. I'm sure there's more, but off the top of my head, I think those will work. Right, so how far behind are we? All right, we're 20 minutes behind again. Holy moly, a lot of questions. Yeah, last week we had all the drug questions that I didn't want to answer, so now I'm paying the price. Actually, you guys are paying the price. Kusha, I saw a study that TRT may increase the risk of brain aneurysm rupture via reduced HDL and increased inflammatory oxidative stress. What's your thought on this? Link it after we're done, so I'll read it. But I'm aware that TRT and other steroids can increase the risk of aneurysm and even blood clots, but those you can mitigate by deploying the right ancillaries. Whereas with SERMs, you can't mitigate that because it goes directly through blockade or activation of the estrogen receptor. So, and of course, you got to remember that a lot of guys that are hypogonadal are now prescribed TRT. They were already unhealthy in many cases. And let's be fucking honest here. A lot, I think 70% of the guys, maybe more, at least 2/3 of the people who go on TRT are self-induced, hypogonadal, and unhealthy. It's their own fault. Just like people give themselves type 2 diabetes, and thus they need to be prescribed with GLP-1 receptor agonists to kind of prevent them from eating so fucking much. And then you see the studies where GLP-1 receptor agonists cause all kinds of issues with the thyroid gland and the pancreas because people were eating like shit their entire lives and their pancreas or thyroid gland were already compromised, and they probably still continue to eat like shit even though they take a GLP-1 receptor agonist. So you have to take these things into consideration, right? I'm assuming that this community is smarter than that. You already eat right, you already go to the gym, you already do your daily fasted cardio, you don't abuse drugs, whether that's performance enhancing drugs or recreational drugs, unless there's a show to win or a traumatic memory to I don't know, process, right? But you're not abusing yourself all the time like these unhealthy people do. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is the case for people who are unhealthy and then go on TRT. But please link the study down below because I'm in the middle of reviewing all of the studies for Trenbolone and my studies are flying through my head. I dream about studies right now. So please do me a solid to link it. All right, I'm going to have to skip over a few. Ray Pete's apprentice, how complete do you think the state of science is at the moment as regards to endogenous agonists of the androgen receptor? And do we know all the endogenous agonists of the androgen receptor, or might there be ones that we don't know? I'm sure there's always new ones, right? I mean, there's a lot of selective androgen receptor modulators that are still being investigated and maybe even discovered. But then it takes a while before there's a scientific publication. What I will say, I think I've reviewed fuck, I don't have my notes here. You guys remember on Instagram I posted how many studies each steroid had, right? And I forgot MENT and DHB. So MENT now is already reviewed. That was easy and a lot of fun, actually. It has more scientific literature behind it than Trenbolone, human studies, Trenbolone, Masteron, and Primobolan, and Turinabol. Right? But nobody takes Trestolone. Anyway, and the scientific evidence is fucking good, man. That video you guys will really like. I think the state of science is fucking abysmal. I think only testosterone, nandrolone, and Anavar are properly studied in human subjects, and all the other ones, it's just shit. It's not enough. So I hear a lot of guys that say that they're evidence-based, but the evidence is so paper thin. It's so paper thin that you can't even make safety assessments on it, right? Which I already showed you in the previous studies. There's so much shit lacking. The Primobolan studies, the Masteron studies, there's only an afterthought, right? Because they wanted to roll out these drugs as cancer medications. Safety is just an afterthought. It's a fucking footnote. And with Trenbolone, there's 0 human studies that I can find. And I know how to find shit. Yeah, I know how to find shit. So again, if you guys in France have access to Trenbolone human studies, please let me know. I would love to review them for the upcoming video. And otherwise later on, I might make an addendum if those Trenbolone studies will become available. But after reviewing testosterone, Anavar, Turinabol, Superdrol, Dimethazine, Primobolan, Masteron, and Trestolone, and Trenbolone. So that's already 9 steroids. Right? I got about 4 or 5 more to go. It's fucking pathetic, dude. It's fucking pathetic, the scientific evidence that we have on these steroids. You see that a particular subject is well investigated on one steroid, like Boldenone, for example, regarding kidney toxicity. 10 studies. Great. And then Turinabol, there's... what was it? You know, the synthase inhibitors, right? The aldosterone synthase inhibitors and in particular cytochrome P450 enzyme inhibiting effects of Turinabol, greatly examined. And now with Trestolone, apparently there's almost 10 studies regarding the effects of androgen receptor content and testosterone synthesis during Trestolone treatment in animal models. So apparently Trestolone can actually stimulate testosterone synthesis in the testicles, and this might be one of the reasons why men during the conception trials didn't achieve full azoospermia, even at higher dosages. All right, so, and then this is only investigated on Trestolone and not on the other steroids. And it's probably the scientific community is like, oh, this paper looks interesting. Let's reproduce that, or let's debunk that. And then you have a couple iterations of the same shit. So basically, long story short, we need another 500 years. Honestly, when it comes to steroids, testosterone, nandrolone, Anavar, that's it. The rest has not been properly investigated and probably never will, because they're not. And of course, I still need to investigate Winstrol and Proviron, and even halotestin. I mean, there's about a lot of studies on halotestin, but it's poorly investigated, man. At least for what I would like to know. Starpiercer, thoughts on cholesterol levels. 90, 20 years old, 180 pounds, all in animals. Cholesterol is 4.1. Like, what's the range, man? HDL and mol 2. Can you assholes just convert it for me? I don't fucking remember, man. It's N-mol. Or M-mol. I think only you know, whatever. What is it? 4.1. 4.1. All right. So you have a cholesterol of 160. That's normal. HDL is 1. That's low. Friedwald, HDL Friedwald. That must be some German language. Non-HDL, LDL 3. All right. Well, so your total cholesterol is in range. Your HDL is low and your LDL is high. Citrus bergamot might help. Eating better will help a fuckload more. So increase your healthy fat intake and reduce your dietary cholesterol intake. That will lower your LDL levels and bring your HDL levels up. Your total cholesterol levels should stay exactly the same. Give that a month, retest again. and then report back to us. But then please next time do milligrams per deciliter, not this communist reference range that nobody remembers unless you live in a communist country. Really, man, I don't fucking remember these ranges. Fred, go. Your thoughts on 2 IUs on top of 150 milligrams testosterone enanthate every 3 days. So that's basically 250 a week and 50 milligrams Primobolan, 100 milligrams a week. Should I expect blood sugar and thyroid? No, no. Guys, you guys need to fucking relax, okay? All right? I understand that we talk about the loss of insulin sensitivity sometimes, but on 2 IUs of growth hormone, unless you're eating like an absolute fucking maniac, there's nothing to worry about. Right? We're talking about minute optimizations that you should consider. But on this cycle, 250 test, which already improves insulin sensitivity, you're on 350 milligrams of steroids per week. How much of a blood sugar decrease or thyroid stimulating hormone problem are you going to get? Zero. Fucking zero. Unless you treat your body like an asshole, which hopefully you're not doing. Alex, how many weeks out from a competition would you recommend pulling peptides, PPC, TB500, Tesamorelin, Ipromorelin, and Rewolsine? I would do 2 weeks, and then all 2 weeks, because BPC 157, TB500 are not really known to induce water retention, but maybe you have a little bit of irritation at the injection site. Tesamorelin, Ipromorelin, of course, increase growth hormone levels, which can cause water retention. And Rewolsine certainly causes water retention in the lower back. So 2 weeks. 2 weeks is all you need. And then a good peak, and you look dice to the socks. And Alex, add in a little bit of growth hormone, like 2 or 3 days before the show. Yeah, and thank me later. Yeah, 6 to 8 IUs for women. Scroll through my wife's Instagram page. Go all the way down. Yeah, you'll see why. All right, Ben. Sorry it took so long, but there were a boatload of questions. What are your thoughts on using Retatrutide for mini cuts? I think it's great. A great idea. If you're on TRT plus, can you run the weight loss aggressively? When do you back off on the deficit if you feel good? Well, when you're shredded or you're happy with your body composition, then you back off the deficit, and then you need to slowly get out of it and then rebuild your metabolism slowly. So I think Retatrutide is great, but I was only able to use it when I was in the United States, and I wasn't exactly paying to my diet, so I didn't get any fat loss benefits out of it. I didn't get any fatter when I was in the US. But yeah, that's about it. So I think it's a great appetite suppressant, but I haven't used it myself in a fat loss context. So I haven't used Retatrutide for, was it the first time I went to the US or the second time? No, the second time. The second time. Yeah, because I got it from Scott McNally. He helped me out a bit there. So that was the second time when I was staying with Scott. I might have to delete that. Scott, I'm sorry. I love you. You're the greatest. So I think it's a great compound. 0.25 milligrams up to 1 milligrams, depending on tolerance. So you might start low and build your way up during our mini cut. With TRT Plus, you can definitely run a weight loss protocol aggressively, and then rely on the Retatrutide to help with lipolysis, because of course the glucagon will stimulate lipolysis from adipose tissue, just like the gastric inhibitory polypeptide receptor activation on adipose tissue will help with a fat mobilization out of adipose tissue. But it also helps with fat mobilization into adipose tissue. So don't overdo your cheat meals, because otherwise you just get as fat as all of the fat that you lost during the week. This is a hidden side effect of tirzepatide and Retatrutide. Yes, we're due for an update video, but since these compounds are not very easy sourceable nowadays in the United States, because, problems with voting in the past. There's not so much demand for making an update video yet. Maybe in the future, when these peptides become readily available again, I'll make a video about it, because there needs to be demand, and then the views can go sky high. So I think it's a great compound, man. Yeah, I think TRT, Retatrutide, an aggressive cut until you're happy, and then slowly but steadily increasing your calories as you bring the Retatrutide down. Don't stop for the life of you Retatrutide from one day to the next, and then start eating like a maniac, because then you'll be fatter than you were at the start of the cut. 100%. All right, so you need to taper that off as your calories are coming up over 2 or 3 months. Yeah, because you see that with most guys that stop their GLP-1 receptor agonists with or without GIP and glucagon, that the rebound, brutal. For 6 weeks, Anavar cycle of 25 milligrams every day. What are the performance and cosmetic benefits equal when taken sublingual versus swallowing the pill whole? I mean, I don't think that the pharmacokinetic, is that pharmacokinetics? Pharmacodynamics or pharmacokinetics, one of the other ones. I don't think that has been established. Compare in a percentage, sublinguals versus swallowing the pills whole. I would assume that sublingual give you more effects, especially if you take a pre-workout. How much of a percentage that is, 2%, 5%, 10%, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. Tomorrow I will start my Anavar alongside my TRT and I will take it sublingually, but I will not take 25 milligrams every day. I don't need that much. I'll start with 10. Yeah. Maybe you'll gain like half a pound of muscle in 6 weeks more with sublingual. Now let's put something on, half a pound. Hopefully that satisfies you. All right, so you are now banned. I don't want to see these questions. I don't want kids, hide protocols. It fucking repulses me. So I am going to kick you out of the chat. Where is you, Matthew? Matthew, where are you? Thank you. See you later. I don't want none of this shit. It sickens me. Go do that somewhere else. Let's see. Any of you fake 90s blasting Ultimate Farmer? Fuck, guys, don't ask about sources, man. This shit pisses me off. Octavian, you know better. Probably not the best idea to. Yeah, exactly. I added all source checks. What do you think about this brand? What about that brand? It all goes straight to the spam filter and then delete it. And if I see the same username multiple times, blocked, out of here. This is not a source board, right? I think I give you guys enough information, but you don't have to ruin my channel with these kinds of questions. Matthew, all right, super chat, but no question. Let me scroll down a little bit. I don't see it. All right, I'm waiting for your question, Matthew. Coach by Roland, is DECA less stressful on the arteries than testosterone? I don't know. I didn't get to the DECA video yet, but I'm not sure. I mean, testosterone converts into estradiol, and that's cardioprotective. And since nandrolone converts inefficiently to estradiol, I would say that it potentiates more stress in the arteries just based on serum estradiol levels. But of course, if you take testosterone and DECA together, then obviously you have sufficient estradiol levels if you know how to manage that. And what are the top 3 pharma GH with minimal water retention? Norditropin. Man. Norditropin. Not gene. Some guys say that genotropin makes you lean, but I didn't experience that. I know that Sizen, well, that's the one that I was using. Yeah, Sizen, Norditrope, Sizen, and maybe Omnitrope. I think everybody's different, man. Just buy a couple different brands and see which one makes you hold the less water, and then make your own top 3. My question was if I wait till what? My question was if I wait till Thursday to do my Lazy Man's TRT protocol, will my estradiol from 64 come down if I don't pin anymore till Thursday by itself, or should I take an AL without pinning pre-Thursday? No, it will come down by itself if you stop pinning, obviously, and then if you pin the full dose on Thursday, then you need to add in the AI from that point onwards, because otherwise your estradiol levels might be reaching into the gynecomastia territories. All right. Starting a cycle of testosterone intake at 200 milligrams per week, it seems that I need more AI the first 2 to 3 weeks and then less after that. Is this just me or science? Interesting. Why would that be? Why would that be? Is that the upregulation of androgen receptors? Right? You just start a cycle. You come from endogenous testosterone production. Where I'm just fucking speculating here, right? So don't take it to heart. I'm just fucking speculating here, okay? You are in. My God, can't talk. You are on testosterone from endogenous sources. Let's say your serum levels are 700 nanograms per deciliter. Now you go to 200 milligrams per week. So let's say your serum levels will be what, 1500, 2000, you know? Yeah, let's say 1500 to play it safe. So you're at least doubling it, maybe tripling it, depending on how you metabolize that. Your androgen receptors might not be receptive to that much testosterone, and thus there's a lot of testosterone floating around in the bloodstream with a potential to aromatize into estradiol or 5-alpha reduce into dihydrotestosterone. So maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks, you aromatize more, and then over time, as your serum testosterone levels are so high, androgen receptor content within skeletal muscle and other tissue is upregulated, so you have more androgen receptors for this testosterone to bind to, and then aromatization is less because the testosterone is on the fucking androgen receptor doing what it's supposed to do. Less is getting aromatized into estradiol, and less is getting 5-alpha reduced into dihydrotestosterone or glucuronidated or other metabolic pathways resulting in metabolites. That would be my explanation. If that's correct, who fucking knows? Who knows, dude? But yeah, maybe that's it. Or maybe you get fucking shredded in 3 weeks. You know, if you do an aggressive mini cut and you reduce your body fat levels that fast, then the potential for aromatization goes down also. Yeah. Maybe you need to supplement with zinc. Start supplementing with zinc from the beginning. Let's see if that happens again. And if you base this, you assume that you get more aromatization the first 2 to 3 weeks based on water retention, then you're sorely mistaken, right? We do blood work. We do blood work to confirm if estradiol levels are high, if we thus need an aromatase inhibitor to bring that down again. If water retention goes up, maybe that's just, your body's like, yay, testosterone. Let's see what happens to me next week. I mean, this is how lean I am now. See, this is pretty good. I think this is pretty good. Look at all this detail. See that? You can even see this little thingy here. Ooh. Shred it. Now, how will this look 3 weeks from now after I'm back on TRT? Probably vastly different. All right, Xenomorph. Hey, Steve, big fan of your content. Thoughts on 400 test annotate and 300 equipoise? I already answered this question that you asked last week, but thanks for the super chat, because I think this was somewhere upstairs. Up. So you're joining the chat a little bit late. Where was it? One of the questions that you posted last week, right? Yeah, here I go. I found it. Boom. Acne Pro. Now, I already answered it, so go back a little bit to the beginning and then keep scrolling forward. You'll get your question, and thanks for the double super chat. But I promised last week that I would answer all questions asked last week that were about drugs. But yeah, they're answered now, not last week. Greg, where's your question, man? I'm looking for your name, but I don't see your question. Where are we? All right, here. Okay. How much test we get in 500 milligrams test? Eat 2 milligrams per day finasteride. Jesus fuck, man. I need AI to decipher your question. 2 milligrams finasteride per day? Are you fucking crazy? Your dick is gonna fall off. Literally. Iron Grid, if you see somebody spamming, just put them in timeout, dude. It's that simple. They spam, put them in timeout. Don't fuck around. No, don't even warn them. If they spam, timeout. If they do it again, ban. It's that simple. All you lads who struggle with morning cardio, try every machine you can. I struggled with it forever. After I found my machine within 5 days, I didn't have to force myself anymore. It became a habit. There you go. Wise worth from Wise worth. Wise words. Man. Don't try to record for 2 hours and then do consultations and yeah, and then try to do a vigorous Q&A. Your mouth is literally tired. Feels like I've been eating peach all day. Which I didn't. I just donated semen this morning, and I'll have to do it again tomorrow. Didn't even get to eat peach. Anyway, so wise words from Biscup for the machine, FTM, whatever that is. What is it? ATM. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, if you know, you know. So yeah, find your cardio machine. For me, that's the elliptical. For a while, it was the Stairmaster, but I sold that one because my knees started to hurt. How many days a week does it take for lipids to recover after quitting Anavar? About 4 weeks. I would say 4 weeks. 4 weeks is usually a good time frame for most blood work parameters to kind of normalize. Do antihistamines... Man. Starting to lose my fucking voice. Do antihistamines taken at bedtime for sleep interfere with growth hormone and sermorelin taken at bedtime? I have no idea. I don't know. I couldn't find anything about antihistamines when I was reviewing the how to optimize your growth hormone secretion video. So let me link that down below because you're obviously taking a growth hormone secretagogue and you're probably interested in maximizing your growth hormone levels. Let me see, where is it? Was it maximize? Oh yeah, the ipamorelin, tesamorelin, CJC, and MK677 cheat sheet. Who comes up with these names, dude? I'll link it down below, but I can't remember reading anything about antihistamines blunting growth hormone secretion. But if you found something like that somewhere and thus you're asking me about it, then I would probably find the same information and would come to the same conclusion. All right, so there's your answer. You know what? I'll do a search for you because you donated $10. Antihistamine growth hormone. Okay, here, a study. I found the first study on Google. Effects of histaminergic antagonist on the growth hormone release activity of growth hormone releasing hormone or hexarelin acetic hexapeptide. And the results are... Our data confirms that hexarelin releases more growth hormone than endogenously produced growth hormone releasing hormone, and its the release is not mediated by the H1 receptors. Blockade does not affect growth hormone release by growth hormone releasing hormone. Okay, linked it down below. I'll put a full citation a little bit later, but for now, it's one study though. I didn't do a meta-analysis. Don't complain. All right, I'm doing meta-analysis for steroids, not for antihistamines. Otherwise, this YouTube channel is going to be like Dr. Berg. Oh, and even then, guys, this is a fucking challenge for you. Find me another YouTube channel who does full citations. Come on, post it in the chat. Full fucking citations and meta-analysis. Give me a YouTube channel who does that. I know Kurt is very good at this, right? But he doesn't cite his videos. Kurt is very fucking smart. He researches a lot. He can pull studies from memory, just like I can at this point. But he doesn't have meta-analysis videos, right? He discusses that with another host. Great conversations, but I would like to see some citations. In his growth hormone ebooks, fully cited, by the way, so that's a great read. But I don't know anybody in this field who does videos like I do, probably because it's difficult and bodybuilders don't like to do difficult things, right? Injecting is easy, lifting weights is easy. But meta-analysis with full citations, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared. Is it possible to gain muscle on a low caloric deficit when using gear? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Even if it's a steep deficit. But of course, at one point, there's diminishing returns. Pete Patton, anything over the counter for anxiety management over 990 test levels? GABA. GABA before bed, man. 500 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams, 3,000 milligrams, or Phenibut. Well, it depends on where you're getting that over the counter. Obviously, some countries it's available, in some countries it's not. Or gabapentin, right? That's a medication, but it's over the counter. So start with GABA. Relax a little bit. Maybe take a little bit of melatonin before bed and GABA, and then see how you feel after that. D. Lee was on a honeymoon last week and went to Belize. Missed out the last Q&A. You didn't miss anything. It was vanilla. There was no drug questions. Already think about anniversary vacation next year. Any recommendations? Bali. Right? Bali, dude. Fucking do it. Belize, it's nice, but Bali is better. Yeah. I would go to Bali, man. Go. This will cost you $500, but Bali restaurant aquarium. And this is still, yeah, Coral. Coral in the Kempinski. Don't tell your girlfriend or wife, obviously, because it's a fucking honeymoon. It's been a long day, guys. All right, I'll link it down below. Take your wife here. Book well in advance. Take the 7 course with wine pairing and make sure you, before she puts on the dress to go out to dinner, take her then. And take her virginity hard before you go, because afterwards you'll be way too drunk to perform. Trust me, I tried. I tried, dude. I couldn't do it. My mouth was all black from all the wine that I drank, and I couldn't walk properly. I had so much to drink because you know how it is with women. You know, they sample the wine. Oh, that's nice. Here, have the rest. 7 times. So instead of having 7 glasses of wine and port at the end, you have 10 and a half. Yeah, and even I'm a veteran drinker, but not that much of a veteran. So Bali, Kempinski Hotel, Coral Restaurant, and give a couple good pumps for Uncle Steve, okay? Peter, hi. Did 18 weeks of Sustanon 250 cycle? Will hair recover? If you do a hair protocol, yeah, obviously. Right? But how bad is your hair loss? Do you need to do derma rolling? I don't know. Do you need to do minoxidil with dutasteride or ketoconazole with dutasteride? I don't know. Do you need to do topical palmitate GHK, which permeates into the skull, or injectable GHK copper, which makes your skull burn like crazy? I don't know. But all of those are options. Yeah. Did you struggle in donating? No, that's always easy. But thank God to X Hamster, man. Yeah. You know what's annoying? Like I have a wife, right? So the only time I really jerk off is at the fucking donation clinic for semen analysis. And then you scroll through the videos to find something, and it's all like ripped off OnlyFans, but you can't see the girl's face. So it's it's difficult to find something worth jerking off to nowadays. Yeah. Maybe it's just because I'm old. And I'm off cycle. That doesn't help either, right? Libido's, you know what's funny? Like you're off cycle and then you have to get your wife pregnant and the libido is like non-existent. And then your wife's like, yeah, I ovulated now. Look at my LH. It's fucking high. You gotta, it's now or next month. And you're like, oh, fuck. All right, here we go. All right. And then you muster up the confidence to blow your load. Well, I did that 10 times and then we did 2 rounds of IUI. But after this, if it's not successful, it's IVF, baby. So tomorrow, after the last IUI round, it's juice time again. Because my mental health has been terrible the last year. In case you haven't noticed yet on the Vigors Q&A. Jim, Jim Holpert. Maybe I'll be more tolerant to the steroid questions when I'm actually using steroids myself. Yeah. When is the best time to take growth hormone or sermorelin to assist with added mass and strength for healing an injury? Well, I would take sermorelin before bed, and growth hormone, it doesn't really matter because if you're adding mass and strength for healing an injury, then how hard are you really going to train? Sermorelin, of course, you might get 1 to 2 IU's growth hormone depending on your age, maybe 4 if you're lucky, but it's probably 1.5 to 2. And if you're taking exogenous growth hormone, you can take it any time of the day, man. any time of the day. And if you take 8, I use a growth hormone, split it up, or take the full dose before bed, or take half the dose before fasted cardio or before the workout. Long story short, all that matters is that you get your growth hormone in. And the only real effect that you might get, assuming that your diet is sustained, is maybe a little bit more fat loss if you take it around the workout. So I don't know, man. I've done all protocols, and all protocols ended up the same. I got big, and my wallet got empty. Steve's right bicep. There you go. Look at this. That one in the picture is fully enhanced. This one is natty as fuck, but I still got striations. Look at that. Great shit. What are your thoughts on Layne Norton? Well, the last time somebody asked me about thoughts, me and my wife both got death threats. So, no thanks. I would like to see Layne Norton do a meta-analysis a little bit more often, just do single study videos. That's what I'm going to say. But I've learned my lesson, man. Every time I say something, I have an opinion about something, then I get fucking attacked. So, no thanks. But Layne Norton, I will say this. Layne Norton was the reason why I registered on bodybuilding.com, so I could block him, because he was in every fucking thread in MISC ranting like he was on pro hormones. That's all I'm going to say. Right? It was so obnoxious. He was in every thread. What was it? Straight Flexed? That was his username on bodybuilding.com. I loved reading that forum decades ago, and I saw his username just ranting and rambling and arguing in every fucking thread. I registered, I blocked the guy, and I never saw his messages again. It was so obnoxious. Yeah, and I haven't followed him since. Did Dr. James answer your question regarding the podcast? Yeah, so I reached out to Dr. James, and super cool guy, a quick conversation, but he said he wasn't ready to do podcasts yet. I think he's flooded with clients because, of course, he makes very short, very entertaining and somewhat informative videos, which, again, I feel should be a little bit longer, but that's just my opinion. It's probably flooded with clients because you see his upload frequency went down quite a bit. He went from 2 times, 3 times weekly to 2 times weekly to once weekly, and now he misses his Sunday upload. So he's probably flooded with clients, and he's probably not ready for a podcast. So Dr. James is welcome to come on the Vigorous Q&A or do a podcast with me. And otherwise, I'll reach out again because I might swing past Dubai at one point. Maybe we can do a collab, the collab of the bald steroid educators, which there are many. Yeah, seems like a fun guy though. Seems like he doesn't take himself too serious, which I love. Here we are. Paras, did I already answer that? Doses of, I don't know. Do your blood work, buddy. Prone to hair loss. It's not only about hair loss. These kind of questions just annoy the shit out of me. So, Paras, I'm going to tell you straight. Hair loss is not solely regulated by diet or testosterone, right? It's also regulated by this much testosterone. So, if you want to control your hair loss, look into your genetic makeup. If all of your family members are bald, good fucking luck. You're still going to experience hair loss even if you block the conversion of testosterone into testosterone into diet or testosterone, because testosterone itself can also cause hair loss at these kinds of dosages. And if you take finasteride, assuming you're of Paras Sharma, I mean, you might be Bangladesh or Indian or Pakistani, right? You guys are so estrogenic that if you take finasteride, your gynecomastia will be here, like off the screen. It'll be disgusting. On this much test, so you need 5-alpha-reductase inhibitor and an aromatase inhibitor to prevent the conversion into both metabolites. And dude, if you're worried about hair loss, just don't take testosterone and go on a meat diet, because you need meat to grow hair. That's a melatonin. Risky. I don't think it's risky at all. It just, if you want to megadose, which seems to be popular now, my old megadosing melatonin no bueno video got a lot of new views. And there's guys that take 100 milligrams. There's guys that take 500 milligrams. I know that Dave Lee is a big fan. He can tolerate it just fine. I should have him on the podcast at one point. Talk about DHEA, Pregnenolone, and melatonin. That seems to be one of his expertises. And of course, testosterone replacement therapy. So I think it's, I mean, I read all the citations or the studies about melatonin and its potential cognitive and antioxidant benefits. And it's one of the most promising and I would say most potent and beneficial antioxidants that you can take, but not everybody can tolerate such a high dose. So I take, 3 milligrams occasionally. I sleep pretty good, okay, most of the time. And sometimes, like after this vigorous Q&A, obviously I need to mentally unwind because it's nonstop, these questions. So I will take 10 milligrams of melatonin, and then tomorrow I'll wake up a little bit groggy. Maybe at one point I will start to ramp up the dose again, but I don't think it's risky at all, man. If you slowly ramp up the dose and you keep a little bit of a log of how you feel, and at one point you start to feel like an old man, right? You can't enjoy life anymore. You can't lift, and you just feel lethargic, a lot, and maybe reduce the dose a little bit. Yeah. Right. I had an anal fistulotomy. Let me Google that. Hopefully, I don't get any fistulotomy. So is that a hemorrhoid? Jesus fuck. Well, luckily I don't have to eat again. Surgeon also placed a ceton to drain the infection. It starts tissue heals. How can I speed up this tissue healing process? Second procedure is necessary and depends on how fast I heal. Watch the connective tissue healing videos. Let me link them down below. I already have videos about this. Healing. Monday will be the best dose of TB500, even though it's going to be 11 minutes. Because, well, there's only 5 studies on TB500. But what about... No, that's thymosin beta 4, buddy. That's a different peptide. All right, let me link them down below, since you donated so much. But yeah, I would take the 1 milligram BPC 157, 1 milligram TB500, and topical palmitate GHK to permeate into the wound, not injectable, because again, you have to inject this pretty close to the injury site or the surgery site, and pinning GHK copper close to your butthole. No, man. Hell no. Hell no. So BPC 157, TB500, collagen protein, maybe Anavar, keeping your blood pressure nicely under control. Don't do any strenuous shit. I wouldn't even jerk off if it was that close, because obviously when you jerk off and you come, blood pressure goes up, and you might contort to the point the incision opens up again. I mean, it's all very close together. So just abstain. Right? Do no fap for 2 weeks or maybe 4 weeks until you're recovered. Right? And you might have some wet dreams, but it will take care of itself then. At least you don't aggravate it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will go well. Yeah. Oh. Can you mix sub-Q and intermuscular? For my previous question, I would do daily subcutaneous testosterone equipoise together, sub-Q sides, belly, upper glutes. Yeah, you can mix sub-Q and intermuscular, assuming it's oil-based or water-based. I wouldn't mix water-based with oil-based, but oil-based test and oil-based EQ. Put that together, no problem. Sub-Q, I'll do it in my upper butt cheek. Right? Normally you would go in sideways for an intramuscular administration, but now I kind of grab the fat, what little is left, and then I pin there. Because that's the last place people see, right? Yeah, always wear boxer shorts somewhere, or swimming shorts if you go to the beach, so nobody would see. Why would you pin it in your belly when you're ending up with lumps and bumps and red bruises if you hit all those veins? The abs have a boatload of veins, so I would just pin it in the upper glute. And if you have a little bit of a bump or bruising, then nobody would see it, unless you take it from behind. Well, I think that some girl fans that do only should supply you with donation material. Oh yeah, eh, yeah, not really. I think tomorrow will be the last time, man. Tomorrow will be the last time. No need to do that shit anymore. I got enough semen frozen for nuclear apocalypse. I can repopulate the planet just with my offspring, assuming that the nuclear apocalypse doesn't wipe out the fertility clinic. Thanks for your super sticker, Saud Amar. Let's see. Question: is it a must to add insulin when using Fourier's growth hormone when fasting blood glucose levels? I already answered this question in the beginning, so no, no need. Use the timestamps or scroll back a little bit. Already answered that. How does Anadrol compare to Anavar to increase strength when either taking pre-workout on only days to lift? 25, assuming that the dose is the same, 25 milligrams Anavar compared to Anadrol to Anavar. I don't know. I've never taken such a low dose of Anadrol. I would take 50 milligrams Anadrol pre-workout and 25 milligrams Anavar. And then, of course, Anadrol is going to beat the half the dose of Anavar. But the same dose, I think it's pretty the same, man. I think it's going to be pretty much the same. You might look a little bit rounder and fuller on 25 milligrams Anadrol compared to Anavar, but on Anavar, you'll look harder and denser, and you might get a better mind-muscle connection, right? That's anecdotal. It's nothing in the scientific literature that confirms that, because there's not so many studies performed where Anavar were administered to hard training athletes, or at least not that I was able to find. So I don't know. Try 25 milligrams Anadrol for 4 weeks and then Anavar and see what the difference is. I think it's if the dose is the same, I think the results are going to be the same strength-wise, pretty much. Amar Yoshi, hey Steve, thanks for all the knowledge. Can you explain any potential pros and cons of switching from daily 20 milligrams testosterone cypionate to daily testosterone propionate? You'll get more milligrams of actual testosterone. What is the... Do I have those? I think it's in the ester video. Yeah, it should be in the ester video, but I don't know the percentages off the top of my head. So I'll link the best steroid ester video down below. Oh, you know what? I can use the timestamps. Ooh. Where is it? There we go. Oh, that's the half-life. Yeah. Okay, so let me first put it down. So you wanted to know about cypionate and testosterone propionate. So testosterone cypionate is 69.9% testosterone, and propionate, scroll further, not cc's. Testosterone propionate is 83.7% testosterone. So you get 83.7 minus 69.9, 13.8% more testosterone. And that on a dose of 20 milligrams per day times 0.137, 3 milligrams more testosterone per day times 7, 20 milligrams more per week. So you basically get an extra injection. Fucking win. Yeah. You inject the same amount, but you get an extra injection. So you get, 1/7 more the results. Man, isn't this great? I think that was a good answer. I love doing calculations like this. I also put that in a Trestlone video, right? Discounting the esters and stuff. And then you see that a 20th of the dose of Trestlone sustains weight or increases weight more than the testosterone dose, which was 20 times higher. Yeah. Yeah, and the Masteron's anabolic, bro. Just run 2 grams a week. When in reality, you only need 50 milligrams of MENT to increase your weight. These guys, dude. Yeah, Masteron's anabolic. Sure, if you run 2 grams, everything is anabolic, man. Fuck, run 2 grams of SARMs. Pete, my resting heart rate is around 54 every night, but when I run or exercise, it's immediately 180 plus, up to 112, 170. Any idea why? It seems to be like that for years. It's called heart rate variability. So when you have, when you have a good exercise capacity, your heart rate can go up very, very fast. And it can also come down very, very fast. So that's the heart rate variability. You have apps for that, or watches for that, or rings for that. Don't put the middle finger up again, Steve. To keep track of your heart rate variability. So resting heart rate around 55. Mine is usually around 50, 55. And then it can go up to, I don't know, 180, maybe 200. Of course, I don't measure my blood pressure or heart rate when I'm training. But it's just normal. If it's been like that for years, maybe you need to do some steady state fasted cardio in the morning, or cardio whenever you fucking want, to kind of keep your heart rate around 135, 140 beats per minute to kind of bring the maximum down a little bit so you can improve your cardiovascular endurance. How does calorie expenditure increase more while using drugs? Why does one not get leaner when increasing drug dosages? Probably because you get more hungry and you eat more. I don't know. Uh, Every time I increased the dose, I got leaner, man. Assuming that the food stayed the same. You know, if muscle mass increase, your metabolic requirement and expenditure increases, and it also reduces thyroid binding globulin, so you have more free thyroid hormones to help with nutrient partitioning. So, either your drugs are fake, or your appetite increases and you have nighttime eating that you're not aware of. But you should get leaner when the drugs are increased. I never recommended raloxifene for gyno reduction. I said that it reduced it by 50%, and then afterwards it would come back anyway. So, raloxifene, the reason why I discontinued that experiment is because I found a lot of scientific evidence that selective estrogen receptor modulators can contribute to blood clots. And that was the height of the pandemic. And now that I had friends die from blood clots, I'm a firm advocate of not recommending SERMs. So, if I see a little bit, seem like I have a little bit of PTSD, I fucking have. I don't recommend raloxifene for gyno reduction. If you want to use it yourself at 120 milligrams to shrink your gyno by about 50%, you are within your right, right? It's your body, your responsibility to do the research, your own risk tolerance if you want to run it. But I have abstained from SERMs or any recommendations unless it's for PCT when they are required. But for gyno, the only thing that's really going to work is surgery. So, yeah, that's all you can do. Will a relatively low dose of Primo wreck your lipids as much as Anavar? Not really, not from what I've seen. My LT just came back over 100. I mean, HDL came back at 27. Okay, so ALT is liver enzymes. And 100, okay, can happen. Can happen from Anavar, can happen from training, can happen from a poor diet, can happen from enterohepatic recirculation, where you don't excrete all of the bile acids with liver enzymes and other toxins. So maybe you need to increase your TUDCA and fiber intake. Um, an HDL on 27, if you're on Anavar now switching to Primo, it will probably stay the same if the dose is the same also. DHT derivatives are the shit on your HDL. It's just part of the game. Carlos, 10 days on LR37 is opposed to 20 days still beneficial. Yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah. Did your whole gut protocol in the past and it was great, but I think I need a mini reset again. Okay. Give it a try. See how you feel. Maybe fast for a couple days, kind of reset everything, and then slowly start to reintroduce foods. Maybe add some pro and prebiotic stuff in there to kind of repopulate your gut microbiome and have adequate nutrients for them to kind of thrive in that context, because LL37 is basically an injectable antimicrobial peptide that is endogenously produced, but you're just taking super physiological amounts. And it worked wonders for my intestinal health. Yeah, even though it killed all the bacteria, it killed all the bad ones. And then I repopulated with the healthy ones, eating some sushi, some sauerkraut, some kimchi, some kombucha tea, some raw vegetables, and even raw fish and steak, obviously. And then within a couple of days, I was fine again. So, I think 10 days is still beneficial, but depending on how bad it is, you might need 20 days. Yeah, you might need 20 days. I much appreciated. Is there any question? Oh, here it is. Do 400 nanograms testosterone consider low for a black dude, as I'm training for 15 years, but I don't like I even lift and have erectile dysfunction. I tried Tonkat Ali, Fedosia. Do you think I have fixed that without going to your T? 400 nanograms testosterone is kind of low. That's half of what I have now. I'm hovering around 850, 820 nanograms per deciliter, but that's on HCG monotherapy. It's low for any dude, whether you're black or white or yellow or red or purple or rainbow or whatever color you identify with, right? It's low for any man, dude. I feel that 800 is low. And I would like to be on 1500 again, which I'm going to be very, very soon. So I would like to double it. And training for 15 years, man, if you're not happy with how you look and you have ED and the tonkat ali Fedosia agrestis are not working for you, go through my library of how to get started with TRT or seek some guidance. So let me link, where is it? Try this before you try TRT video. And then I think I linked a couple ones there. Did I? No, I did not. But just search my channel. Link down below. And then give that a watch so you know what you're getting yourself into. You know, if you've been lifting for 15 years, you're probably at least 30 years old. And with 400 tested 30 years old, I would say testosterone replacement therapy is going to be the way forward. Yeah. All right, my pleasure, buddy. How far am I behind? Oh, only 7 minutes now. Cool. Mr. Camillo. Oh, you're going to be so happy next week when the Testosterone deep dive video drops. You should rename your name to Mr. Ment. I tend to feel better on 150 milligrams Ment weekly over higher dosages. Yes, based on all of the literature that I reviewed and the receptor activation, it seems that less is more. 50 milligrams is usually the sweet spot for people on top of a testosterone base. But if you want to run it at androgen replacement therapy at 150 milligrams per week, then it's been investigated as a hormonal replacement therapy. So this seems to be a normal dose. But you know, if you read the scientific literature, this would basically be the equivalent of 1,000 milligrams a test, but probably 500. Yeah, over high dosages, I've run up to 300 milligrams. I feel it's losing selectivity or diminishing returns. Yeah, that was in the scientific literature also regarding a receptor activation, not on human subjects, are more apparent than 200 milligrams. So yeah, keep it there. If you feel better at 150 milligrams and you went up higher and you had to reduce the dose and you feel better, then this is clearly working for you. Watch that Mint video that will drop next week to confirm it further. Last extensions training and last certification. We have a female in the chat, and she's very generous, so I'm going to take my sweet time, ma'am. Thoughts on TB500 plus glutathione plus BPC157 or anything else for healing inflammation caused by endometriosis in a 32-year-old female? I'm not familiar with endometriosis, to be honest. Already had 3 surgeries, went through IVF twice, okay, but I had to stop because endometriosis cysts. Okay, you probably had those cysts surgically removed, right? Let me check in endometriosis. Endometriosis. So I know what I'm. Lining of the uterus grows outside the uterus. Man, okay. Severe pain, harder to get pregnant. And I'm not familiar with this. What I would recommend you to do is schedule a consultation with Victoria Felkar. She is the GOAT. Literally. There's nobody smarter when it comes to this shit. Victoria Felkar. I'll link her Instagram profile down below. For this kind of stuff, I would refer to her any day of the week, because she's very knowledgeable when it comes to female physiology and what could potentially help. She helped many IFBB Pro and other competitors in the IFBB or just other sports. She just doesn't really talk about it because she likes to be homey, right? She's very laid back, very quiet, but do a consultation with her. You will not regret it. She knows a lot more about this kind of subject than I do, because based on what I just read on the internet about endometriosis, I don't see how TB500 glutathione and BPC would help if you already went through surgery. Of course, recovery would be better. Healing the inflammation would come down. Of course, BPC157 and TB500 would reduce the inflammation. Glutathione would help slightly, excuse me. But I think Victoria Felkar would be a much better candidate to give you advice on the subject than I am, because I mostly specialize in, well, non-surgical interventions and, complications arising from steroid abuse. So good luck, nonetheless. Can you use enclomiphene to regain testicular size on TRT? Yes, you can also get blood clots from it. HCG gives me bad migraines. I've already tried recommended this for the headaches, but I just can't use HCG. FSH, testicular volume, FSH is the king. Recombinant FSH, gonal F from Merck, skip the enclomiphene, 75 IUs, recombinant FSH 3 times per week. Your testicular size will be better than on HCG, and I don't think you'll get a headache from it. So I would go that route. Again, there's no scientific evidence that enclomiphene causes blood clots, but since it's 2/3 the active ingredient from Clomid, which has plenty of scientific evidence that it causes blood clots, and other SERMs also have blood clot case reports, why risk it? In this day and age, why fucking risk it, dude? And otherwise, you give Dave Palumbo more reason to make videos about people that died from blood clots. That guy should know. He makes videos about everybody that dies. Yeah, just run 50 milligrams Clomid per day for 2 years, dude. Well, before I get any more death threats. Big House, on the question on what was the mechanism of action behind becoming leaner while increasing drugs is, and why does the calorie expenditure increase when adding more drugs? Well, like I said, you increase the muscle mass, which increases nutrients demands, which increases energy expenditure, basically. So if you keep the food the same and you increase the drugs, you start training harder, and you maybe add a little bit more volume, then your muscle mass goes up and your energy expenditure goes up. But if you keep the food the same, the extra calories need to come from somewhere, and that should be body fat. So unless you're increasing the drugs without an aromatase inhibitor, and it's the estrogen that might prevent lipolysis or actually cause lipogenesis in adipose tissue. So, but I mean, watch that step-by-step cycle design video, man. I explain everything. I made it twice. It's so good, I made it twice. Link down below. I don't see how you cannot get leaner if food intake is exactly the same. But you take more drugs and you train harder. By the way, the chat with Dr. Adil Khan was fascinating. Yeah, it was great. And what is his name? Fuck, the name eludes me now. The other doctor, Kirk Parsley. Yeah, I think those two podcasts I really enjoyed. Yeah, those were really great. I mean, two highly intellectual guys that really know their fields and are also open to learn, right? And have some very nuanced ideas. I find that super fascinating and interesting to talk to people like that. Yeah, so that was a great podcast. One of the better ones I've done. I was going to try the new Masteron trend, but I changed my mind after the Masteron episode. I will stick to test is best. I mean, you can still run it, dude. I mean, I'm not against running it. People get great results from Masteron. I'm just trying to make content and give you guys some things to think about. I think that these high-dose Masteron protocols work for some people, but not for all people. And since there's no clear scientific evidence that it's super anabolic, then you would need to run it with a considerably high dose of testosterone. And again, all the guys that run pretty high dosages of Masteron that are open about it are also running high dosages of testosterone. Is it the testosterone that is making them look so good, or the Masteron? It's probably both, right? But how much is the Masteron adding on top of the testosterone? If you're running 2 grams of test and a gram of Masteron, I think 90% of the gains are coming from the testosterone, and 10% is cosmetic appearance from the Masteron. Yeah. Amir, didn't know that this prop would be more testosterone. Thanks, my pleasure. If I took less propionate to match the same test of cypionate, you think prop's lower half-life will feel better, less estradiol? No, because you're injecting every day. So if it's, let's say, what was it, 13%? So if you drop the dose down times 0.86, let's say you inject 17 milligrams testosterone propionate every single day, I think serum levels, testosterone, and estradiol will be exactly the same. Yeah. Daily microadministrations, it doesn't matter what ester you use. It's undecanoate, decanoate, enantate, cypionate, hexahydrobenzocarbonate, phenylpropionate, propionate, acetate, even suspension. It doesn't matter if you inject every day. Steve, at one minimum, how long would you have to wait with blood work after decimating the Cheesecake Factory like you guys did? I mean, I had a hamburger and cheesecake. It's not that bad. I can do blood work the next day, so that it doesn't affect your blood test. 1 week. No, just the next day, man. Well, what is going to be elevated? Your fasting insulin levels, maybe a little bit. All right, big fucking deal. Right? I mean, you should eat healthy most of the time. And then if you slam one meal that's a little bit outside of your normal routine, it shouldn't affect your blood work tremendously, you know? Now, if you go to Cheesecake Factory every day for a month, like I did when I went to the United States, yes, then your blood work results will be terrible. 100%. Because it's an entire month that is now represented on your blood work results. But one day, I don't think it's going to matter much, man. LDL might be a little bit higher. Triglycerides might be a little bit higher. Fasting insulin might be a little bit higher. And otherwise, do what I do blood work before you go to Cheesecake Factory so you don't have to worry about it and you can eat worry free. I did name my company Augmented Athletics for a reason. Oh man, you really love mint. That's a good one though. Can't spell augmented without mint. Nice. I have 375 milligrams, 375 milligrams per deciliter testosterone, and my endocrinologist doesn't want me to go on TRT because I'm in the normal range, and I only have slightly bone mineral demineralization. Any idea if American Health will come to Europe? No, they won't. Self-prescribed, man. Just self fucking prescribe. You don't need a TRT clinic to get hormone replacement. You don't need anybody's fucking approval to get TRT. You just source it and you don't give a fuck. Really. Because why would you let somebody else dictate what the fuck you're going to do with your body? It doesn't make sense to me. Whether that's the government or a doctor or your girlfriend or your mom or your dad, you are the sole custodian of your body. If you're not happy with your testosterone levels and nobody's willing to prescribe you, fuck them, source it yourself. That's what I did. Fuck these people. Fuck them. It's not none of their fucking business. If you want to run testosterone, run it. Find it somewhere. You can find it. It's so easy to find testosterone, pharmaceutical grade. You run it and you do blood work out of pocket and you fix it yourself. Right? It's not difficult, man. It's not difficult to do. And I think in Romania you can just walk into the pharmacy and buy some testosterone. So why would you go talk to an endocrinologist who can probably not even help you while you're on TRT? Just get educated, learn yourself, watch all the videos on my YouTube channel. You should be a fucking expert, and you can retire your endocrinologist because you'll know 10 times more than he does. Right. Let's see, bro. We need an MMA wrestling stack. Yeah, it's on the to-do list. It's on the to-do list, but right now I'm trying to get through all the scientific publications of steroids. That's more interesting to me. So it's on the to-do list. Eventually, there'll be a video on it because after doing all this work on scientific literature, I certainly need a little vacation from PubMed. Fuck, we're so demonetized, so much swearing, but it's okay. Brett Harvey came off 500 tests, 300 trend cutting cycle. Blood pressure is a little bit elevated 4 weeks after and just being on 250 milligrams test. Taking Cialis daily, Erythropoiesis, and citrus bergamot. Okay, so it takes a couple weeks for testosterone and trenbolone to actually metabolize from your body. And maybe up the Cialis dose or switch to Cialis for telmisartan. Or add in the magnesium, like I mentioned a million times before, right? Maybe you need to add in a gram of magnesium per day to help bring your blood pressure down by dilating and relaxing your arteries. So magnesium first, then increasing the Cialis, and then replacing the Cialis for telmisartan. LHOK, FSHOK, sperm count 108 million. Okay, good. Freeze it and then get on TRT, self-prescribed. Malfredo, third door in March added. All right. He's replying to somebody. I don't see a third door here. Let's see. This in March added Testosterone cypionate, 50 milligrams 4 times per week. So that's 200 milligrams per week. On top of 500 IOs HCG 3 times per week. Labs January, February to March. Free testosterone, 100 to 200 to 215 total. 800, 1000, 1150. SHBG went down, obviously, and estradiol is now at 50, which is okay. Libido lower at 50 than 68, okay. Stopped HCG because of sensitive nipples. Thoughts on 250? 250 what? How to bring your estradiol levels up, but you stop the HCG. Honestly, 50 milligrams a test would be pretty similar to 500 IOs HCG, but if you get sensitive nipples but your libido is good, you're walking that fine line of gynecomastia and improved libido. So going to 250 tests and taking the HCG out obviously is going to reduce your testicular function and might worsen your libido, but might still give you estradiol levels that are sufficiently elevated to the point it gives you sensitive nipples. So I would leave it at 200 tests and 500 IOs HCG 3 times per week and add in a little bit of an aromatase inhibitor. Yeah. Yeah, or you need to add in the Semax and Selank, you know, for the libido, which I mentioned in the libido video. It's a fine line to walk. You know, some guys really respond well to having estradiol a little bit higher, but then your nipples might be a little bit puffy and sensitive. So that's problematic. So watch that libido video. You might get some ideas. Where are we? But I would keep your estrogen at 50 because having a little bit of reduced libido, which you can heighten with, well, exogenous DHT, Semax, or oxytocin, is considerably cheaper than doing gynecomastia surgery. Yeah. Yeah. Let me scroll down a little bit. I got a small scar on my face from surgery, 6-month-old. Would BBC 157 nasal spray be beneficial? No. No, it's fully healed now. It's too late. So you should have done that, the TB 500 and BBC 157, which actually prevents fibrogenesis when you were healing your scar. Now it's 6 months old. It's too late. I mean, I got scars. Where is it? Here. I got a scar here from when I was 3. See this? I fell on the corner of some thing. Stitches, no, stitches by a fucking intern. So now I got this horrible scar. Don't worry, I still got married and I got laid, so it's not the end of the world. But no, it's too late, man. If you want to improve that, laser therapy or some sort of derma rolling. I think that would improve it more than BPC 157. And the nasal sprays, I think that's only going to go into your brain. And since BPC 157, after reviewing all of the scientific literature, does potentiate some neurogenesis, that's what I would use it for neurogenesis, but not for healing scars, which are somewhere completely different. Yeah, you would need to inject that before the scar was healing, directly around the scar, around where the injury took place. All right. Everybody loves the shirt. Yes. I love this shit too. People are asking me, where can I buy it? I mean, I'm looking for one. If you go to Elite Grips, or this site, in Japan, you can buy them online, Elite Grips. But the websites don't ship outside of Japan. I never found the shipping forwarder. So if you ever go to Japan, order yourself a couple shirts and then wear it. Let me see if I can find that link. Elite Grips. Japanese people are terrible at making websites, by the way. Accessories. Hopefully my internet doesn't slow down. It'll probably take a while to find it on this website. All right. These are the umbrellas. But where are the shirts? And bags. You'll see it. And now I gave you the links, and then I go to the Mr. Olympia. Yes, I will come. Yes, I will come. And then everybody's going to wear this shirt. It will be either super funny or a complete nightmare. All right, I'll link up above. Here, here's the website. Bookmark it. You can buy those shirt there, but I don't think they ship outside of Japan, so that's a bit disappointing. Uh, Amar Joshi, I had gyno from puberty, and I had a glandular tissue surgically removed in 20s. Does that mean I can't go now in my 30s if I do a cycle? Just curious. No, unfortunately not. There's so many horror stories where guys said they had their gyno surgically removed in their teens or 30s or 40s, whenever they had one surgery, and then they go on a hefty testosterone and androlone cycle, and they still get gynecomastia, even worse than before. So now they need to undergo another surgery. So I wouldn't risk it. I would still control your estrogen levels, and at the first sign of nipple puffy sensitivity or issues, add in the Nolvadex for a short period of time. Yeah, to block the estrogen receptor, not longer than needed, because blood clots and all. Any GHRP6 growth hormone releasing peptides that don't make your appetite out of control? GHRP2 doesn't really do that. If you administer one at bedtime, is it feasible to sleep through the appetite increase when you wake up? Your appetite is back to normal. Yeah, pretty much. I think if you take GHRP2 before bed, can't exactly remember the dosage, but it's in the growth hormone video. Then I don't think you'll wake up from the appetite. You might get a little bit of flushing and a little bit of, side effect. But I think it wouldn't be so bad. GHRP6 and MK677 are the worst. So if you don't take those and you just stick with GHRP2, then, and what was the other one? Ipamorelin? Is it ipamorelin or is that the ghrelin receptor? Man, I don't even remember. Because they don't work that well. Anyway, watch that growth hormone video and then select the ones that are not GHRP6 or MK677. But it's a ghrelin receptor agonist, right? Jesus fucking Christ, now I don't even remember correctly. The ones through the ghrelin receptor make you hungry. I gotta watch my own video. Where is it? Steve, you should know this. Dude, I've been... Okay, growth... Yeah, I was totally wrong. My bad. So, growth hormone releasing hormone receptor agonists shouldn't make you hungry. CJC1295 with or without DAX, somatorelin, sermorelin, and tesamorelin, they shouldn't really make you hungry. It's the ghrelin receptor agonists that make you hungry. The growth hormone releasing peptide 2, 6, examorelin, ipamorelin, and MK677. But from my personal experience, only GHRP6 and MK677 makes me hungry. And the other ones, CJC, somatorelin, no. Tesamorelin, no. Might get some flushing. That's about it. Sorry, I had to look at my own notes. Grid, weird question. In case of pseudo gynecomastia, where the fat settles on the chest, what's your recommendation? You tell me, dude. I have the same issue. It's regarding the one friend I'm helping to lose weight. He's 95 kilos now, but still has tatas. Yeah, I have the same thing, man. I have, like right here, I have like a strip of fat. It takes forever to go. So here's my gyno, and then this fat is like here, and then it's thin again. You can't see it through the shirt, but I'm not going to squeeze my nipples live on the Vigors Q&A. Anyway, I have the same issue. So you just have to get more lean. It goes away there last. And of course, you can use selective estrogen receptor blockers or high dose DHT derivatives like Masteron or Primo to kind of favorably manipulate the estrogen receptors around that area. But it still takes time. It's just a stubborn body fat area. When you're 6% body fat, it will probably be unnoticeable. But you still need to get your friend down to 95 to 6% body fat. I'm about 10%, give or take, and maybe 9, maybe 10, probably according to Greg Doucette, I'm 12%, right? Everybody judges it a little bit differently. I have a six pack and a couple lines in my lower glutes, but not a lean lower back. So let's say that's 10%. And I have some chest fat. Big fucking deal. Dangers of high dose HCG, 500 micrograms. So that's 1300 IUs or 13,000 IUs. Your balls would explode. But if you're talking about 500 IUs daily, I think that's normal. I mean, it's fertility protocols use more. So I wouldn't worry about it. But if you do 500 micrograms, that's about, based on Ovitrel, that's 250 milligrams per one syringe or a cartridge. 250 micrograms HCG is actually 6,500 IUs. So if you're talking about 500 micrograms daily, that's 13,000 IUs. I think your balls would literally explode. Is injecting quads really bad? And should I stick to glutes and delts only? If you inject pharmaceutical grade gear, it's not bad at all. Right? All the guys that complain about quad injections, they're using underground labs. And of course, they get crippling post-injection pain. They can't walk. And then it's the fault of them pinning their quads, when in reality, they shouldn't be pinning underground labs at all. If you pin pharmaceutical grade gear, I think quads, lats, glutes, delts is fine. But I would prefer you not to inject your delts or your quads, just to do the glutes. And if you can, just do subcutaneous administrations, because with time you build up scar tissue. It will limit your mobility and also hinder, how you look. Because delt injections over time, it would just build up like so much scar tissue to the point you don't have any separation. Let me show you what real separation looks like. Oh, this one's better. You see this? This is real separation. Right? So there's no, well, unfortunately, I'm not lean and I'm not on Winstrol, but this is proper separation, right? Now, you have all these guys that pin their delts, that this is just one lump. You can't see shit. Look at, if you want delts like Wesley Vissers, don't inject your delts. Yeah, it's that simple. Glutes, sub-Q and intramuscular, that's the only place. Coach Steve, I'm the gentleman who bought all your ebooks this week. Get a Q card, dude. I sold hundreds of ebooks, but thanks so much. It's on discount, by the way, guys. 25% off until the end of April, and then I'm taking them offline because they're getting a little bit outdated. Yeah, and people are copying the ebooks left and right. So what's the fucking point to make more if people are stealing them anyway? Just wanted to say thanks, worth every penny. I haven't stopped reading all week. Okay, awesome. Enjoy. Watch a couple updated videos on the same subject so you're up to date. Because again, they were written in 2020, so they're 4 years old. So I feel it's only fair to give you guys a discount, and then they're coming offline. Pump the likes. I gave up, man. Have you guys noticed that I gave up in the beginning of the video? I don't ask for likes or subscribes or shares. It's up to you. It's up to you. You guys have until the Bitcoin halving, and if I'm not happy, then I'm just, I don't know, I'll do something else. Right, so if you want me to continue, do your fucking part. I was running 350 milligrams testosterone cypionate solo for 3 months per week, right? Not over 3 months. It's very low dosages. And then switched to 350 milligrams testosterone enanthate plus 350 milligrams of Primo. After a month, I started having pretty bad pimples across the back and shoulders. Any recommendations? Daily subcutaneous microadministrations and watching your diet a little bit more carefully. Some people are a little bit more acne prone after adding in a DHT derivative. If you keep your serum levels nice and stable by doing daily microadministrations and doing your blood work, and maybe manipulating the range or the ratio of testosterone and Primo, then you can manipulate your acne as well. But the foundation here is diet and hygiene. And maybe go tanning. All right, we're going to go for another 15 minutes, and then we're going to throw in the towel because I got to wake up early to do another semen donation. I'm low. How much impact would... Oh, fucking itchy lats. Oh. All right, sorry. How much impact would 6.25 milligrams aromasin 2 times a week have on lipids? Not much. Might they skew with 1 or 2 points? Maybe. Need to control estrogen on TRT, but already have low HDL, so reluctant to use an AI. Well, aromasin is the most favorable on your lipid levels compared to anastrozole or letrozole, currently using tamoxifen. Do you think that's good for your lipid levels? Well, take the tamoxifen out, switch it for dinyl methane because you're on TRT. Like I mentioned in the TRT videos, 200 milligrams dinyl methane and 1,000 milligrams calcium diglucarate in many cases is enough to sustain estradiol levels, which should not have a negative effect on your lipids at all. But if you bring your estrogen levels down, then the favorable beneficial effects for HDL increases is obviously lost. And then you have fish oil and eating a little bit more healthy fats, right? And doing a little bit more cardio or taking a little bit of niacin or garlic extract or citrus bergamot. I mean, there's a boatload of methods to control your HDL levels. You should deploy all of them. Charming Chowder. Hey, Steve, herniated my C6 last August. Recently got oral BBC 157 and TB 500 and MK 677 on the way. Would that help with recovery or any other steroids? Watch all the recovery videos down below, which I already linked. Oral BBC 157 is going to work in the intestinal tract, not systemically. TB 500, I don't think there's an oral version available, so inject that. And you herniated your disc. So do you think that your spine is magically going to realign? I would say no. I would say no. So maybe get that diagnosed, maybe do some chiropractic work, maybe get one of those inversion tables or a reclining table where you can kind of take the pressure off. Injectable BBC 157 and TB 500 might reduce the inflammation that you got after the herniation, but recovery is mostly dictated by reducing pressure, allowing it to heal, and then not aggravating it by stupid heavy deadlifts. MK677 might make it worse because you increase water retention, which could prolapse or pronounce the hernia further, right? Just guesstimating here. Steroids helps with bone mineralization, but you would need to take that for months. So testosterone, androlone, and Anavar are known to increase bone mineralization. So maybe go on a cycle consisting of those, controlling your estradiol levels. And then hopefully, wherever the herniation took place, that entire area would be a little bit stronger. And the synovial fluid and the cartilage and all that stuff is a little bit tighter. And then you can slowly start working on increasing your back thickness and strength to prevent herniation from happening again. Man, dry mouth today. Hey, Steve, what are the best supplements that help dealing with the absorption of stress of training so you can continue to improve in relation to endurance training? Oxidative stress, cortisol stress, oxidative stress, methylene blue, glutathione, melatonin, great oxidative stress absorbers and mitigators. And regarding cortisol, emodin prevents the production of cortisol. And ashwagandha root extract, and maybe some adaptogens. Maybe some adaptogens will help. And there are many. They're all listed in the endurance videos. What is it called? Fuck. What is the name of this one? They're in the adaptogens video. I can't remember. I haven't looked into it in a while. But those would be the ones that I would look into. Yeah. If you're looking for over-the-counter supplement. Methylene blue isn't exactly an over-the-counter supplement, but you can still buy it with a credit card on some of the gray area peptides or SARM websites or research websites. Thoughts on 30 milligrams Dianabol pre-workout versus spread throughout the day. Both will work. So you spread it out on rest days, and you take a pre-workout on workout days, which I always recommend and when I talk about oral steroids. So that's what I would do. Spinal Tap, baby. Adam Lee. Does tamoxifen impact lipids? Yeah, to a certain extent. Guessing that I should take this out ASAP based on your reaction. No, it's because tamoxifen might increase the risk for blood clots. And I fucking see people dying of this shit all the fucking time. So I'm sorry that I have to bring this up every single time people talk about SERMs, but you guys need to be well aware of the risk, right? So please, it's not, SERMs are not sustainable, and clomiphene is not sustainable, right? If you want to do 4 weeks for PCT, okay, that's worth it, because without SERMs during your PCT, recovery is going to be mad fucking slow and you'll be miserable. But tamoxifen to control your estrogen levels, there's better ways. SERMs to control your gynecomastia, just do blood work and be ahead of the curve, or use Masteron or Primo, which can potentiate the same effects. Gynecomastia prevention. And clomiphene to sustain your testicular function, use HCG and FSH. Please, guys, use some fucking common sense. Do some meta-analysis for yourself. Don't only rely on me. You guys need to know this shit. Really. Currently using dinomethane and calcium dichloride as well, but I can't get my estrogen under range. Currently 15% body fat. Okay, so it's daily microadministrations plus an aromatase inhibitor then. Aromacin, 6.25 milligrams twice a week. Yeah, and maybe increase the zinc. You know, in the steroidogenesis inhibitor video, I mentioned all the things that could potentially influence aromatase enzyme activity. Steroidogenesis. There you go. So give that one a watch. But yeah, tamoxifen, right, for the entire year that you're on TRT. No, man. Best hunger suppressant, tirzepatide or retatrutide. 0.25 milligrams to 1 milligrams 3 times weekly. Yeah. Will Bitcoin reach 100K this cycle? Wouldn't surprise me. That's, let's see, where are we now? I think it's going to be like kind of boring until the halving. 68, well, maybe. Maybe might see a little move next week. No, I don't want to sign in. Fuck off. Let's see. It's really trying to break through. Yeah, it's the previous all-time high, right? So it's gonna hover here for a while because all the people that got in, when was it? The all-time, and this was at November 2021, right? So that's well, 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. All those people are ready to sell now, man. So it always takes a while before it breaks through the previous all-time high, but you see that the lowers are getting higher, so higher lows. But it's also a bit of a triangle if you're on the day chart. And guess what? The triangle closes in the middle of April, right around the halving. So it's probably going to stay here and then shoot up to, well, the next Fibonacci level is 102,000. Well, time to mortgage your house, guys. 180, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think based on a logarithmic chart, it's anywhere between 150 to 225. To 240 would be nice. How much percentage gain is that? 1,300%. Well, don't hope too much because you never know what happens. Can't wait to see you at the Olympia. Much love. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be probably in the US for about a week. Yeah, about a week. Gibson Chitwoods, 400 testosterone enethate. About to add the DES. I asked a couple IGF-1 DES. I'm assuming. Yeah, okay. IGF-1 DES. Apart from trying LR3 and comparing, would you have any good ideas for experiment to try after that? Might have at 6, I use a growth hormone with the IGF. I don't know your body, dude, so just do whatever the fuck you feel is appropriate. If you already tried IGF-1 LR3, run the exact same experiment with IGF-1 DES so you know how to compare IU for IU or milligram for milligram, and then throw in a dose of growth hormone and or with the IGF-1, right? Just keep practicing until you figure out what works for you. That's the fun of trying all these compounds and keeping logs and seeing what works, and if it works, if it's worth the price or not. Because some things are clearly working, but if it's like an extra $2,000 a month, then is it worth the price? All right. So, all right. When alt cold season? I think after the halving it will start. So if you want to buy some altcoins, that's what I'm going to do after the halving. It would be nice to have a little bit of a retracement. But I think the altcoins are really going to move when Bitcoin breaks the previous all-time high, and then when it starts to stagnate, like it did last time, right? Last time from February 2021 till about April, so 3 months, it kind of stagnated. It went almost sideways, right? In between those two Fibonacci levels, the 2618 and the 3618. And did it do that the year before? Oh, fuck, this chart doesn't go far that much. All right, I need to log into my trading view. So let's say it starts to stagnate for a while between the 618. Oh, that's already at 150. It might be. Yeah, I think it's going to run for a while. I mean, the ETFs are mostly based on Bitcoin and a little bit on Ethereum in some countries. So all the selling pressure or the buying pressure is going to come from there. And once you feel that the market is starting to stagnate and all these weird altcoins start to move, then you sell a little bit of your Bitcoin profits into altcoins and let that run. But it's not a bad idea to buy a little bit of crypto now, right? But yeah. What? You think I got rich by doing coaching? It's a good moneymaker, but you don't get rich from coaching, man. It would be cool to see a podcast with Mike Israel and Jared Feather. I would love to learn a lot. Yeah, hopefully we can schedule something. Yeah, I tried to meet Jared Feather this week, but our schedules don't really align. So hopefully I can meet him before he goes back to the US. And then let's see if we can come up with something. It would be fun. And then me and Mike are just going to talk about mushrooms and throw jokes and not talk about steroids or training at all. All right, this is the last one. No more super chats. No excuses. I guess if you super chat after this, fuck you. Bhaskar asks, taking 125 milligrams testosterone enanthate every other day, got blood work done after 25 days. Estradiol is 200 picograms per milliliter. Total testosterone, 12,000 nanograms per deciliter, not a typo. Confirmed with lab, they say indeed 12,000 nanograms per deciliter. Blood pressure is still normal, took an AI. It sounds very high for the testosterone that you're taking, and I've never seen such a high result. So I would advise you to get a second opinion at another clinic. Really. Just go get a second opinion before you take dramatic action. Different clinic, different testing equipment, just to be sure, and then take it from there. So, yeah, because otherwise, I don't think that, well, unless you have androgen receptor insensitivity syndrome, right, which is possible, where people have endogenous testosterone levels of 1,700 nanograms per deciliter, but 12,000 nanograms per deciliter, go to another lab. Yeah, go to another lab, double check it, and then take appropriate action, because I've never seen anything like this before. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up because I have to wake up early tomorrow, and I already woke up early today. This is the last round of IUI, so from tomorrow onwards, yes, I will bring a syringe with me. After donating semen, my obligations as a man have been fulfilled, and I'm back on the TRT bandwagon. Finally, after a whole fucking year. And then fingers crossed my wife will get pregnant with IUI, and otherwise we have plenty of semen frozen for IVF. So do a little prayer for me, but from tomorrow onwards I'll be on TRT, and this beautiful face will slowly mutate into Donatello or another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 25% off the ebooks until the end of the month. Next week will be TB500 blood work analysis and the full TRT protocol that I'm going to do. And hopefully we can get the best dose of mint out the door. And then I hope I can get that Trenbolone video done. And if any of you guys have access to human studies on Trenbolone, send me the citations, because I wasn't able to find any full publications using Trenbolone on human subjects, whether that's in clinical trials. I found plenty of case reports. Don't send me those, no case reports. But the clinical trials, I would love to see them. I can't find them anywhere, and I know how to search for these studies. So thanks you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Vigorous Q&A. All jerk questions are allowed again until I get bored of it, and then we'll do another vanilla Q&A. Man, it's been a long day. Peace out, guys. See you next weekend. Later.